Hey Bookaholics, so welcome back to another reading vlog. This vlog is my back to school vlog. I am literally knee deep in sorting out all of my kids' school stuff, all of their school materials, trying to order in their books, all of the palaver that comes with sending a kid back to school. So we're readjusting our routine, our sleep schedule, the whole lot. So you get what you're given. This week it's going to be chaotic. It's actually Thursday. My kids went back to school yesterday. I was supposed to start this vlog yesterday. I did not because my kids only went in for like 2 hours. I understand for the kids where it's like their first year in the school because they need to get like adjusted to the school. Even for kids where it's like their first year in like proper primary, because over here you have infants, which is 3 until 5, and then from 6 you go into primary. So even for the kids where it's like their first year in proper primary, I can kind of understand because not all of them are all one building like my kids' school is. So even that I'd understand. But like for my kids that have been going for multiple years, it makes no sense to me why they're only in for 2 hours. It's not like they need the adjustment period, but okay. So they were only in for 2 hours yesterday. It was very chaotic. We needed to go shopping and buy things and pick up things and everything. So it was all very chaotic. So we didn't do anything yesterday. And then by the time we got home, I was deceased. We cleaned the whole house over Monday and Tuesday, like a deep clean, like I take everything off of shelves, out of cupboards, out of drawers, put it all back, kind of deep clean. So yeah, I was absolutely cream crackered by the time Wednesday night came around. So like last night, I literally put on my Gavin vlog that I had to watch. And I started reading and then I literally fell asleep with the book on me and with Gavin still playing, so I had to go back and watch and finish my chapter. But as you've seen, I have started the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association. This seems like the perfect read to start the day my kids went back to school because obviously it's about being a parent to school-age children and the way that it's, what life is like as a parent when your kids are in school. I'm really hoping that this also delves into the fact that school is the aspect of your kids' life that you have least control over. You know, everything else from what they eat to when they sleep to who they play with, for the most part, is entirely within your grasp, and then you are releasing your kids out into the world when you are sending them to school. So that is something that I am really kind of hoping this delves into more. This is kind of delving into it a little bit of just how much it takes out of you just to parent your child even when they are in school. I think a lot of the time, I know that a couple of my fellow content creators that are stay-at-home parents, we have this notion that you're a stay-at-home parent, but once your kids are in school, what's the point in being a stay-at-home parent as a society is kind of what is told us. Another thing as well that happens sending your kids off to school is that suddenly there'll be parent-teacher meetings. There will be the things you need to, on relatively short notice, suddenly you're to conjure up a costume for a play or a dance or something. You need to be able to help out with school events. All of these things that are expected of parents, which I genuinely don't know how having 2 full-time working parents do it, because me and my husband, one of us has always been the stay-at-home parent. And I genuinely don't know how we would have coped. Granted, we have 4, so we have 4 times as much of that. We have 4 times as many costumes to make, teachers to talk to, and meetings to attend, and all of these things. So I appreciate that, but even still, absolutely manic. Like the fact that we are opening and dealing with this PTA meetings and with this school, and it's just in this magical setting. Our protagonist's daughter is a werewolf, but they are mundanes and they are now kind of being thrust into this new environment, which is fantastic because you are seeing it where she is an outsider, and it happens every school that you could possibly go to. So for example, I really affiliate with her because even though I have grown up here in Spain, I did not attend the school that my children attend, and I do not know the parents of my kids' school outside of them being parents of co-students of my kids, which means that a lot of them know each other. It's a small village as well, so they all know each other. A lot of them have grown up together. Most of them are Spanish as well, which obviously I am not, and all of those things. So all of those parents know each other. All of the PTA parents know each other. A lot of them went to that school themselves. So it's an interesting one for me because I kind of understand how she's feeling of like being outside a parent. Now, I'm not like her. I don't actually care. As long as my kids are getting a good education, they're making their own friends. It's not up to me to make friends with their parents. It's up to them to make friends with the kids, right? So I don't care as much as this woman does, but obviously I'm not in a magical society where you kind of need to understand a lot more. Also, there is another mum in here that is the one that kind of like helps her understand things, including helping her get into what school supplies are needed and where they're needed. And like my first year, I kind of like just blindly muddled through. And then from then, I have been one of the ones that helps a lot of the foreign mums in the school then try and figure it out as well, especially because I do speak Spanish and a lot of the other foreign parents don't. So yeah, I can kind of relate to both of these characters that we're seeing quite a bit of, which has been fantastic. And also, yeah, like her just trying to become part of this society. So I'm really excited to continue reading this. I'm really liking the tone of it as well, and just, yeah, how relatable it is, especially because I'm reading it exactly at the time of year when all of this mayhem is going on in my life. Hers feels very, very relevant to me. So I'm going to be continuing this. I did also start Austringer's Wrath by E.L. Lyons, which is the second book in the Gifts of Audrey series, the first one being the Starlight Jewel. I really did enjoy the Starlight Jewel, and this one I am just reading as an ebook. It's not part of my like official TBR, and I just can read it however long it takes me to read it, basically. And I have been really enjoying it. I really like this series. The first book, obviously I won't tell you what the second book is about, but the first book is about a fae woman who is part of this gang, part of this group of women who basically are somewhat like sex workers, and then they will steal from these very important men, and then like it'll all get distributed across this kind of like group of women and their corresponding pimps, etc. It's how basically this larger intrigue plot happens with this girl who is the Starlight Jewel, who's kind of like Satine in Moulin Rouge. For anyone who's watched Moulin Rouge, she is the Starlight Jewel. She is the sparkling diamond. She is the one that everyone kind of is allured to, and we're following her as she tries to double con someone. And I really, really enjoyed the dynamics in there, the sociopolitics of that story, the way that the narration followed these two characters, both the man that she's kind of conning / getting into a partnership-ish with, and then obviously also our Starlight Jewel. So I really enjoyed those two perspectives and the way it was shown. We also get a couple of extra perspectives, and I am enjoying the way that this one is going, especially because we did have a kind of trope in the first one that I normally hate, but I think it's actually being handled in a way that I don't despise. It is still making this one more of a struggle, I suppose, to get into than the first one was, but the world building in here is absolutely impeccable as well. So I would highly recommend, if you're a fan of Carnival Row, actually, if you check this one out, and I really am enjoying the interpersonal dynamics. And as for Magical Readathon, this one, which is Grimmauld Grammar School, I am using for Spells and Incantations Q, which would then have me done completely with Spells and Incantations for my obligation reads, but I am probably going to try and get D, all the way to D in Spells and Incantations. But this is the last of my obligation reads in Spells and Incantations. And the prompt for this is to read a book that was released this year. This was released this year. I literally pre-ordered it, so I got it as soon as was humanly possible for me to get it. So this one works for that. And then I'm thinking that for Alstringer's Wrath, now this one I could use for multiple things in psionics and divination. So basically, whenever I'm doing Magical Readathon, any of the prompt generator things, emoji or country or whatever, I always do them just in case at any point I pick up a book. I can then see if it works for that or not, like if I pick up a digital book or an audiobook on a whim. And I did get romance for genre spin. Now this is a hybrid one. This has got multiple genres going on. It's definitely a fantasy as well. And I did have romantasy on the spinner wheel, but I think I'm going to use this for genre spin just because I've already got the Q, the next level in psionics and divination, because I did that in the previous vlog. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to use this one for romance on that basis, that then, you know, I'm further along with psionics and divination and see if I can get like a whole subject. I quite like doing that, which would mean that then I can hopefully plan the third prompt from here, should I wish to, with a bit more ease. Wednesday. That's my plan at the moment. So we've got this one on the go. We've got Illstringer's Wrath going on, and then we'll see what other books I managed to pick up throughout this vlog. Very long start, especially given that I have so far read, I think, about 100 pages of one and 66 pages of another. So heaven knows how long this vlog is going to be. So I'm going to shut up, get to reading, and I'll catch you later. Good morning vlog. It is now Friday. It is morning. My kids are at school. So I have been doing some reading, as you have seen. I didn't get as far into this yesterday as I would have liked. I would have liked to have gotten to where I am now yesterday, but I've been reading some this morning, so it's fine. So I am continuing on through the Grimoire Grammar School Parent Teacher Association. I am halfway through this one now, and I'm really enjoying the humor in here. I do think this is a very fun book. It feels very relatable. Now, this is very dramatized. This is very American levels of drama. Now, again, I've never lived in America, so I don't know what the real world America is like when it comes to levels of drama. But when I say American levels of drama, I mean American media levels of drama. So if you look at like American films versus English films, American books versus English books, you'll know what I mean. Especially when especially talking contemporary books and films, you'll know what I mean. That there's always like a little bit more angst and drama on the American side versus the more like mellow British versions. This one has a very American level of drama, which again, not sure how well that actually reflects the lived reality of Americans. But you know, it's very amped up. Obviously, you've got the fact that it's a magical society, but that doesn't really add to the drama, aside from the fact that our protagonist is new to this world and therefore doesn't really know how the society works, how to behave in this society. But aside from that, it's not contributing to the drama so much as just a setting and a vibe. But I am really enjoying the humor in here, and I'm finding some of it very relatable. The way that you have like WhatsApp groups, parent WhatsApp groups, and the way that they kind of message in there feels very relatable to my experiences, and the way that you have like school fairs and meetings and gatherings and things, the way that you get the school notifications as well, like the way those read. It's very entertaining, very relatable. If you're a parent who has a kid in mainstream education, it will feel relatable to you. But also, I don't know, there's something about this that feels kind of cool, because so often throughout middle grade years, we read books about a middle grade kid being this magical being, and then the parents having no clue, and then you can kind of override the existence of the parents. You know, these kids, they get sent off to boarding schools so we don't have to deal with parents, or they're already orphaned so we don't have to deal with parents. So then we have these kids that grow up magical, and they are thrust into the world, and there's normally some big epic thing going on, and the parents are nowhere to be seen. So this feels like, one, not only are we finally getting parents in the story, but also from the perspective of the parent, what could a mundane parent do in this situation of their child being in a magical school? And I really like that. I'm really enjoying it. We've had some popular culture references, which are not my favorite. I think they're kind of okay in here, but I'm really not big on popular culture in fiction. I just feel like it dates books a lot, And also then it can, if the author turns out to not be great, then later on it can cause problems. So that's the thing. I mean, I don't think that any of the things that have been referenced in here have any one author, because you have like Pokemon mentioned, and you have Batman has been mentioned as well when talking about like costumes and things. So obviously they're franchises, so it's not quite as bad. It's not like there's any one author that can come out and be awful and then everyone be like, oh, well, now we hate Pokemon. So at least there's that. So it's less awful than if it's like one actor or one movie or one book. But yeah, I don't know, I'm enjoying my time reading this. I am, again, finding it just super breezy to get through and super relatable. And if I didn't keep zombieing out at night because of how tired I am, I would be a lot further along. So I'm going to hopefully continue reading more of this today, maybe even have it done by today, because again, once I do get stuck in, I do end up getting through a huge chunk of it. It's not even 10 a.m. yet, and I have read 4 chapters this morning. So I was on page 107 this morning, and I am now on page 180, and I've only been reading since 8:30 when my kids left. So it's been easy going. So hopefully I will be able to continue to get through this today. I have made a little bit of progress with Alstring's Wrath as well. I'm really enjoying the way that this one is going. I really feel like it could have gone in a way that would have really angered me after the ending of book 1. Like I said, there was a certain thing that happened that is a trope that I dislike, but it worked well in this setting. The ramifications of that trope is normally the part that annoys me. It's normally the thing that, because that trope happens and then you have the fallout from that trope, and that's the part that I hate. We're in that, and we're working through that, and we're figuring things out within that, and I am not hating it. So that's really good, because the best you can ask for at this particular point in the story is that I not hate it, because I'm never gonna love it. So yeah, I'm having a very good time with that one as well. I do really like the writing in here, and again, incredibly digestible. It's very compelling is the thing. It makes me want to keep picking the book back up. Hence, I guess why I'm taking long with this one, because this is like a head empty, loads of fun book, and the other one is like super compelling. So it depends on where my mindset is at, like where my brain is at, and where my brain would normally be like, oh, now I'm a bit tired, let's just read for funsies. It would be this, but I am just not able to stay awake long enough to continue reading. So again, like me reading this morning where I was still quite sleepy because I'm still adjusting my sleep pattern. So because I'm still a bit sleepy in the mornings, it's like I didn't really want anything that would require any neurons. So this has just been perfect for this. Like again, this has been the perfect book for the first 3 days of my kids going back to school. Absolutely ideal, because this is so relatable. Thankfully, my kids go to this tiny school, and it's a very nice atmosphere, very small classes. But even then, you know, every parent who has ever sent their kid to school, and every single one of us, look at the you know, the group chats of some kind, and there's at least something that you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, why? Why is this a thing? So for example, for me this year, it's, so every year my kids need to take in like a big plastic box, like bin or whatever you want to call it, that they can put all their shit in class. So they can put all their stuff in there and not lose it. Obviously we have to sit down and label all of our kids' things, including their individual pencils and crayons, etc., which is loads of fun. But then yes, then we have this big bin that we need to put it all in, and every year we have to go buy this big bin. So my second eldest has had the same teacher. This is the 3rd year he's got the same teacher. For the previous 2 years, she has requested we bring in these plastic bins. And then this year, she's like, actually, no, this year we want you to give us money and we're going to buy plastic drawers instead. And it's like, but you got us to buy the bins. Like, you made us buy these plastic boxes. They're not expensive. They're like €6. But it's like, now I'm having to pay twice. Like, I had the bin. You already had these things for them to contain their stuff in. And we've just decided that no, this year, and like, I appreciate it's for space efficiency, but it's just like, but you have already made us buy these bins. We already own them. He's had you for 2 previous years. And like, complaints like that come up. And again, they're petty and they're silly, and I haven't actually verbalized these complaints, but it's just something that I'm like, for God's sake. For goodness sake, why? So just like, my little pettiness just feels so much better when I see other people's also pettiness when it comes to putting their kids in school. So I'm having a good time with that. Anyway, I have rambled for way too long. So now I'm going to get to hopefully doing some work. I might also try and edit for a bit, edit some of the videos that I've got. And then I will get back to you when I have read something, probably most likely going to be on my lunch break. Hey, and welcome back to weekly awful lighting shots. But here we are. It is now Saturday evening, so I thought I would check in and give you some updates because I did finish the Grimoire Grammar School. I really enjoyed this. This was possibly a fun time, not a long time, but I really enjoyed this. It was exactly the right time to be reading it, the back to school season, but for parents instead. I did really like the way that certain elements around, especially being a mother and trying to find friendships, I like that it was discussed. I don't really subscribe to the idea that you need friends that are mums if you are a mum. That being said, like some of my closest friends are mums. I understand that there are sometimes things that I guess only someone who is also a parent will understand, but that's what my spouse is for. I don't befriend people specifically because they're also parents. And I also don't really subscribe to the idea of needing to befriend everyone in your kid's school or class. I don't really subscribe to the idea of needing to befriend their parents. Even if my kids are friends with their kids, that does not mean that I need to become their friend. I have a, I suppose, contrary outlook on friendship anyway, which is probably some stuff that I would need to unpack. But the way that she is so desperate for approval, it could never be me. But I understand that is something that some people go through. Also bearing in mind this is her first child, I'm not new to this rodeo. So I get it in a way. So it wasn't that it was annoying, it was just not a belief system that I subscribed to regarding socializing. So then there were parts that frustrated me regarding other elements of the relationships involved in this story. There were bits that were a little bit frustrating, but for the most part, I did really enjoy the book. It's got 4 stars. I had fun with it. Again, I had some really important discussions. Again, not necessarily ones that I needed or agree with, but they are ones that I have seen other parents need and or want. So I get it. It's just not relevant to me. The story was fun. The world building was a load of fun. It's kind of like if you took Gilmore Girls but made it like in the societies in Wednesday, I suppose. If you took Wednesday, the Nevermore Academy, and plonked it in Stars Hollow, you've got this one. So, you know, it was fun. I'm glad I read it. Not a huge amount of thoughts, but I would recommend it if you're wanting a fun time. I have also now started, and by started, I mean literally, I have read a chapter of Foul Days by Genevieve Dimova. No, I have not actually read a single page today, and it is very late, and I am watching Gavin instead. I will, however, be picking this up after I finish watching Gavin. I'm going to go read a chunk, and then hopefully I can read some tomorrow. But I'm back to the old routine where, weirdly enough, I actually read less on the weekends than I do on weekdays. So we'll see how that pans out. But for now, I am enjoying the writing style from what I have seen. I'm curious to continue, and hopefully that will persist as the book goes on. So 1 down, 1 on the go. Let's see what the weekend has in store. Hey vlog, checking in because I have actually made a very decent chunk in Foul Days by Genevieve Dimova. I joined on multiple sprints today because I have been having a rot day. So I joined in with G from Book Roasts Sprints, the host of the Magical Readathon. We had a pet reveal and then we had a 45-minute sprint. And then I've also been joining Ashley from Books to Ashes on their sprints as well. So I have been joining people and reading, and I am now on page 204, which means I've read about 120-ish pages today, which is pretty good going. I'm really liking the setup for it. I just wish that I felt more immersed, more engaged. I wish I felt more about the book in general. I am liking the characters well enough. I am really liking the setting. The themes are also quite interesting. We have things around things like domestic violence and the way that women are pushed into positions where they put themselves at risk or put themselves in vulnerable positions for the illusion of safety, especially when they have had a traumatic experience. So I really like that thematically. I really like the kind of witchy vibes that we've got going here. I like the monster hunting section that we've got going on. I just don't feel strongly about anything. Like, I like everything. There isn't any one thing I can point out that I dislike. I just wish I felt more strongly about everything other than, yes, this is good. So I'm having an odd time with that because I couldn't point out a flaw to you. I couldn't say that the writing is bad. It's engaging, it's compelling, the pace is decent. Like I said, I'm finding the characters and the themes that come with those characters fascinating, well crafted, well rounded. The plot's a little bit meandery, but it's quite theme heavy, so you can understand why the plot's meandery. For the life of me, I could not tell you anything I dislike about this book, and yet I cannot rave about this book. I can't come in and be like, oh, everyone go read this. This is a fantastic book, because I don't feel that way either. So it's an odd one, and I hate it when books do this to me. I hate this kind of experience. I actually am fine with raging about a book because it's made me feel something. I know what my thoughts are. I know what my feelings are. I know why I'm disliking this book. Likewise, obviously, I love loving a book. I love to be able to tell you all of the awesome things about this book, even if deep down I know it's a garbage book, even if I know it's a really poorly written book, but I am having a fantastic time with it. I can then talk to you about it. With a book like this, I'm like, yeah, it's good. And that's all I have to say to you about this book. It's an odd experience when you have such a ambivalent experience with a book. It's almost like it defeats the object of a book. Again, I do really enjoy the setting. We have a very Slavic-inspired setting. We have a monster world. You have the Chernograd, which is where all of the monsters and magical beings live, and then you have the human realm. And I like the way that those two are juxtaposed. I love the way that like the smuggling happens between one place and another. I love the way the magic system is constructed. That's very interesting as well. And yeah, interesting characters. I do find the character has a little bit too generic main character a vibe to her. I wish there was more to her. Nothing particularly offensive. Like, I don't find her to be a stereotype. I don't find her to be too impersonal. Just there are too many things about the setup for this character that feel just very, okay, that is something we have seen before. So nothing's feeling particularly innovative. Nothing's feeling particularly outstanding, but everything seems to be going well. And I feel like the things that I have heard about this book also seem to be, everyone is like, yes, I like this book. I haven't heard any rave reviews, and now I'm kind of understanding why, even though I could not, for the life of me, break down exactly why. I just wish I had more feelings. I have also made a little tiny bit of progress in my ebook. By a little tiny bit, I think I've read a chapter of it today. So that's a thing. That was before I could be bothered to go pick up my physical book. I was just kind of sat here, not in reach of my physical book, and read a chapter of my ebook. I am enjoying that one still. That's Ordringer's Wrath. And I'm really liking the way that this story unfolds compared to the first book, especially the positions that our protagonists are in, especially our protagonist from the first book. As I said, there is a trope within the end of the first book that I don't like, that I think is being handled to the best of this trope's abilities. And if it's not a trope that you dislike, I think you will really enjoy this. It is just, again, something that I dislike, and I think that for a trope I dislike, it is being handled in a way that makes me still enjoy the book. I just wish it wasn't a thing. So reconciling that when it comes to my thoughts is always a little bit complicated. For the most part, I'm really liking everything else about it. The characters are still absolutely stellar. The world building in this is top tier. I love the world building in this series because it is very Fae focused. Not me, F-A-E. And I do really like the way that we have the Fae world and the divide that we have between humans and Fae, etc. I am still enjoying all of the things that I enjoyed about book one. There's just this one element that still hampers my enjoyment a little bit. So hopefully as the book progresses, that will lessen. If not by the end of this book, it will have lessened enough for the third book. So not a huge amount of very strong thoughts, but some thoughts nonetheless. So I will check back in tomorrow. Hopefully I will have finished Foul Days, since I need to start its sequel. And yeah, we'll see how I fare with the rest of the series. plug. I am here because I have finished Foul Days. And given that, like, I literally updated you yesterday, being like, I'm not sure I have much to say on it. And I was on page 200, so I had less than half the book to go. The latter almost half of this book really picked up. Like, I think maybe 2 chapters after this, I was like, actually, no, I'm really invested in this now. We had like an interpersonal relationship going on between 2 characters. We have our protagonist, Costa, and a character named Asen, who is a police officer. He's like a detective. And I found it fascinating, actually, because I really liked the way that they're the opposite of what you'd normally find with this kind of dynamic, where instead of bringing out the best in each other, it felt like they brought out the worst in each other. It was interesting, but like not in like a toxic way, just in it made them confront the toxicity within them, their trauma and the shit that they have within their lives. And like sometimes it was really frustrating. Like I really wanted to slap Asan frequently. So I don't know, but it made me feel things. And like I was saying in my last update, I wasn't feeling anything about this book. I had no connection to this book at all. So I think like just me feeling something then really got me into the story so much more. Me wanting to throttle him, me wanting to get her to stop trying to push his buttons inadvertently just because she wants to get something off her chest. So many things I think were handled really, really well. And I really appreciated that latter part because it dealt with trauma in a way that when people blame themselves for their trauma, it's a normal trauma response, and it did it in a way that didn't absolve them of all blame while at the same time not faulting them for their trauma. So like a lot of the time you will have people that will make stupid mistakes or silly decisions. In the case of our police officer as well, like things that he put down to duty, and it didn't absolve him of that. It didn't say, oh no, you didn't do anything wrong. It was just the outcome is not entirely squarely on your shoulders. And I think that's a really, really interesting way of handling this kind of trauma. And with our protagonist, who is clearly a victim of domestic violence, it was also very interesting to have it where the conversation is showing she is a product of this domestic violence, and therefore some of the choices and actions she's made have been her doing, while at the same time understanding where it comes from, and that therefore she cannot be held solely responsible for those responses and reactions and actions. So I just think that thematically it got really rich there in a way that I wasn't expecting it to, with less than half the book to go. And as I said, I really did like the interpersonal dynamic that we had between these 2 characters that really enhanced the story. I really like the way that the friendships were depicted in here, the way that this survival of the fittest society treats friendships, for want of a better word. I don't know, there was so much going on in here that I really did enjoy in the latter half. So I literally went from being like, I'm really ambivalent about this actually, to really enjoying it, and I am now very excited to pick up the sequel, which is what I'm going to be doing. I have read the first chapter with my coffee this morning, so I am now a whopping 8 pages into this book. I think this one is going to have a little bit of like a detective noir vibe to it, because we are now investigating something. We're investigating a criminal and potentially looking into bringing down a kind of like criminal underworld. So very excited for this one. I actually like that this is very dinky as well, because crime stories are not normally my vibe. But again, having enjoyed the second half of this one a lot more, I am now excited for this one. So this one's got, it's scraped its 4 stars, which I think it deserved. It was very, very much looking at like a solid 3 star. And then, like I said, the latter half, or just like under a half, really did pull through, and I was like, actually no. So there's got a 4. So I'm hoping that this continues in that trend of actually just being something that really does excite me, especially now that I am more invested in the characters that we're following. So hopefully this one pulls through. As for Ashringa's Wrath, I did read some of that as well, and I am happy to say that I am still really enjoying it, and we are now at a point in the story where I am back to just genuinely enjoying it. Not even necessarily because the thing that I dislike is resolved, but I guess because now I've gotten used to the fact that this new dynamic is how things are. We can start to rebuild from that. We can start to change course slightly instead of just constantly ruminating on this thing that I dislike. So we shall see how that goes. Hopefully this one now is going to like really grab me. So I'm hoping to maybe finish that one either today or tomorrow because I'm really engrossed in it now and it keeps making me want to pick it up. So I think I will probably read that throughout the day and then read this in the evenings and hopefully have this one done by Wednesday. So got plans, got things read, got things reading. Let's go. Hey vlog, I am back because I am now halfway through Monstrous Nights. I actually was going to update you last night, but it was way too late, so here we are. I haven't actually read much this morning. I read, I think, 2 chapters that are what got me to the halfway point, so I definitely should be done with this. If not tonight, then tomorrow morning, and I'll be able to update you on my final thoughts on this one. But I am really enjoying the way this story is going on the basis that I think I know what I expect more from this world, as well as the fact that I'm just generally enjoying the story more. I have found that the plot of this one is not one that would normally work for me. I'm not really much of a detective kind of girly, especially because again this has a bit of like a noir element to it. It's contemporary. We do have things like phones and fingerprint analysis and stuff, but we do have also this kind of like noir vibe to it because of it being in this city of monsters. It's quite cold, it's quite dank and all of that. It's not normally something that works for me. I can only think of a couple of instances where I've been genuinely interested by a detective story, and a lot of them tend to not be like a series, or if they are, they're substantially shorter. For example, New York Minute by Stephen Arion I really enjoyed, but again, it's a novella. So yes, out of my comfort zone in that regard, because this one does have like a murder mystery investigation section to it, as well as like continuing on a bit the plot from the first one. So it ties in really well while still also having this new setup in regards to the plot and almost the genre of the book in regards to the plot, at least. So I am really appreciating that. I am finding it very compulsively readable and enjoyable, and I'm really liking the way that our characters are working together and the way that their personalities still work well together. Again, once we had this duo in the first book is when I really started to enjoy it, so it makes sense that that would continue in this one. So yeah, there are a lot of things that I would say are better inherently about this one, despite it being arguably less within my comfort zone than the first one. So yeah, I'm having a great time and I'm looking forward to continuing and or finishing. It is daytime now though, so I am going to continue reading a little bit more of Stringer's Wrath. I did read some yesterday in between like yesterday's update and today's updates. I don't have a huge amount more to say. This is a difficult one to talk about because obviously it's a second book in a series, and especially because it's a series that not a lot of people have picked up. It's not a very popular one. It is self-pub. I would like more people to be picking it up, and I definitely would highly recommend you do so. But it's a difficult one to talk about in a non-spoilery manner. So I think just once I'm finished with it, which should be either tomorrow or more likely Wednesday, I will hop in and do a final update on that one instead. So yeah, I am enjoying my time with it, and I will kind of give some conclusive thoughts once I'm done. So yeah, I have about, I want to say 20% maybe left of Stringer's Wrath, and then I've got the other half of this one to go, and then that will be it for this vlog. So hopefully I can get it all done by Wednesday in a timely manner so that we can wrap up this vlog on time. Hey vlog, I am in the same position. It is entirely possible that my top in the sighting looks like the same colour as the last 2 tops, even though one was purple and one was pink. This one's grey. Will they all look the same colour? Who knows? But yeah. I've been editing up to this point of the vlog and it looks like I haven't moved. Like, it looks like I'm wearing exactly the same top in like 3 of the clips. I'm in exactly the same spot because this is the only place I can get any kind of lighting. So we'll see. We'll see if this just looks like one long continuous clip instead of like multiple days worth of vlog. I have finished both Monstrous Knights and Illstringer's Wrath, so I thought I would check in and chat about both of these. I'll start with Illstringer's Wrath actually because again it's one that I don't have a huge amount to say on, not because I don't have anything to say, but I don't have any spoiler-free thoughts at this time. It's a worthwhile series checking out if you like Fae and you are a bit tired of the Sarah J Maas, Holly Black flavor of Fae, if you're wanting something a bit more closer to the original Fae and you want a kind of slightly grittier world, one that kind of discusses the class divide between the types of Fae as well as the humans in the Fae, I just highly recommend checking it out. This second one also, there's so little I can talk to you about this one because the characters are in such a pivotally different part of their lives compared to in the first book in a way that I can't get into. I really love the progression of these characters. I'm really looking forward to continuing this series. I hope that there's not like another huge wait in between books, but it's well worth the wait, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, if this is a series seems interesting to you, I would check it out. It's really well written, it's really enjoyable. I am delighted to announce that I've also finished Monstrous Knights, which I really think elevated elements that I struggled with the first half of book 1. It's still not a 5-star, it's still a 4-star, but I did enjoy this one more, which as I said I think in previous clips that's unusual to me because it's not a plot setup that is normally my vibe, but that worked really well for me in this story, especially the way that we've got the different characters working together, the things that we are investigating, the way that in turn opens up even further aspects of the world building. So much happens in these small books in a way that don't feel like they are overstuffed, but at the same time they don't feel like they're breakneck speed, and I really appreciate that because they feel really easy to get through, really digestible, really fast paced, and it doesn't come at the expense of character growth, world building, or intricacies of the plot. And I don't really know how Genevieve de Mova did it apart from having that slower first half of the first book. So genuinely, if you're liking the first half of the first book enough to be like, yeah, okay, I can settle into this world, settle in, because then it really does elevate, it really does pick up, and I really did enjoy this second book. So it's a series that overall it is a little bit of a you need to struggle through the first at least half of the first book. It is one that I genuinely would deem worthwhile, and given they are short books, it's not even like you're having to slog through like 400 pages to get into it. It's like 200 at most. I feel like in fantasy it's quite good going. I think it's just that because these books are short, you're not expecting that level of like slow development that you get at the start of book 1, but it does actually pay off and it does make it worthwhile. So do with that what you will. The folklore elements in here are so cool. I really do love Slavic folklore. It's something that I really enjoy in my books and I am always on the prowl for more of. And this author is Bulgarian. I want to say Bulgarian. Yes, this author is Bulgarian and she's inspired by her own folklore from where she is from, and obviously that's infused from all other elements of Slavic folklore, and it really shows, it really shines through. We've got this fantastic urban fantasy vibe coupled with that in a way that I really did enjoy. I think that this was incredibly well done and exactly what I was wanting. So it was definitely worth persevering through the first half of book 1, which I wasn't disliking, I just wasn't enamored with, because it really did pay off later on for me to get really invested in the series. So there you have it. I finished 4 books in just over a week. Actually, no, it's a week. It's exactly a week. 4 books in a week, which is very good going. I had actually started Illstringer's Wrath on the Monday though, hence why it's technically over a week for the 4 books, but 3 over the course of this actual week, which is the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association, which is a super pacey, super fast, super easy read, hence why I got through it so quickly, hence why it was so digestible. We then move on to Foul Days, which again is a very short story in terms of it being a fantasy book, and while I did struggle with the first half, the second half really did make up for it and I really did have a great time with it. And then we conclude with Monstrous Knights, which is a book that really surprised me with how much I enjoyed it, and a magnificent continuation from book 1. So we've got a series down, we've got a standalone completed, and another series that I have made progress in. So overall, I think that I've done really well this week. week. I've really enjoyed everything that I've been reading. I've been dedicating every minute of my free time to reading. I take September off. I know that sounds odd. Like, I do get a little bit of work in here and there, but for the most part, I take September, once my kids go back to school, off. The whole time the kids are in school, I just kind of take my time readjusting back into the normal school routine. So typical houseworky stuff, but other than that, I just like take as much time as I possibly can to unwind. And the way that I do that is through reading and through watching mostly historical documentaries. So that's what I've been doing. That's why I've been managing to read so much. That is why September being the magical readathon month instead of August like it used to be worked better for me, because I have more time just to myself where I can fully lock in and concentrate. And it's been going really well for me so far. So hopefully that will continue into next week as well. I do have odd little kind of segment of vlogs coming up for the next few days, which I will hopefully be able to explain better in the next vlog. But I'm really enjoying my time with the magical readathon, and I hope that you have been still entertained by the vlogs regardless. So yeah, I will hopefully catch you in another one soon. But that's all from me for today. So thank you so much for watching. Bye!